Two social workers on a mission to change the narrative, Millennial Babes Podcast seeks to empower others in making changes to maintain their physical, emotional, and mental health. This podcast is about becoming the best version of ourselves. I hope you feel inspired. Join Bria Spencer and Fadia Jean-Pierre bi-weekly as they initiate conversations about mental health, fitness, and travel. Share this with someone who needs it. Follow us on Instagram at millennial_babes_podcast, and let's continue the conversation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Millennial Babes Podcast. We are excited to have you here today, and we have a wonderful guest who we will be introducing in a few minutes. And our topic today is, dancing for mental health. So we have today Dr. Rennes, who is a doctor of chiropractic, mental wellness coach, and mental health advocate. Dr. Rennes teaches people how to use rhythm and beat to express their true self through body movement, birthing dancing for mental health. She is also the owner of Signs for Strength, LLC, a mental health awareness shop. Her advocacy with National Alliance on Mental Illness New York, and is in support of integrating mental health education in the educational system. Is there anything you want our audience to know, Dr. Rennes? Because that's lovely right there with everything that you're doing.
No, first of all, just want to say thank you for having me. Nothing extra to add to the podcast.
Yes. So in looking at your platform and reading your bio, I was very inspired by, seeing like you're using dancing, bringing people together. Because some of us, we're always like, what can we do? Like we're going through those challenges, we're depressed, we're having anxiety, and we just don't know how to, manage what our feelings and what's going on with us. Tell us a little bit more about your journey to dance for mental health.
So it's very interesting because dancing has always been part of my life. And I must say, I am not a trained dancer. I just love to dance and I love music. I'm Caribbean, born and raised in Dominica. Music has always been part of our culture, right? So moving throughout life, I moved to Miami actually when I was 13. And then I was chasing the idea of the American dream. Everyone should come to America, get an education, and get a good job, and life is great. So I pursued that. Like I had 2 college degrees. At the end of my doctorate degree, receiving my doctorate degree, I found myself at a very, very low point.
Wow.
To the point that I actually packed up 2 suitcases and I moved to another country. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I need a fresh start. So I moved to Peru, and I was still struggling and just finding myself and knowing who I am. And one day I just the anxiety of going to work every day and dealing with patients who have pain and they want me to help them. And I didn't feel at the time adequate to do so. So one morning I was like, you know what? I'm just going to turn on some music and start dancing. And that's what I was doing. And I danced and I was like, this is amazing. Like, we all know the idea of going out, dancing with your friends, feeling great, and you come home and that's it. But just doing it as a daily routine, I saw a shift in my mental space. I had less anxiety. I was happier. So it still took me years to bring it onto my platform. But last year, actually right before the pandemic hit, I had my first live class in New York. I currently live in New York. And then I started to plan the second class and the pandemic hit. I was like, oh my God. But then I had a business coach who encouraged me, hey, do it online. Everybody's home. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. It's like, it's different. Like I like the energy around being around people. I'm a people person. I like to hug, things like that. But I took the advice. And it was the same type of energy, maybe a little bit less, but I still got out. Everyone still got what they needed out of the dancing. So basically, that's how we hear the pandemic. I really started to share it online, and I'm pretty sure that's how you ladies found me.
Yes, and also through Tiana Washington, she was posting your videos, and her and I were friends. I'm like being intrigued by how you're using dancing, and I love dancing. I'm Haitian, from Haiti. So, like the compa and the Caribbean island, we love to dance. But
Absolutely.
one thing, exactly, and one thing we never do is never say, okay, can I just use dance to help me, right? And so I like the fact that you said like you were at a low point, and then dancing was what it looks like. Dancing is what you found you basically. You didn't even go looking for it. It found you,
Right.
and so you moved to Peru. That's amazing, because I know for me, about almost a year ago, I decided, to like go on a solo trip where I'm like trying to find myself, because I was at a low point too. And travel is always something that helped me get out of my funk, get me back into like being who I am and being energetic. So thank you for sharing that. That's amazing to see like how you, use dance to help you. And now you're helping, others using your platform with it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even just hearing what you shared, it just made me think of like my own journey. And so I also packed my stuff up in 1 month and moved across country and moved to California, because I was like in a place in my career where I was just feeling very drained. I was tired, taking care of other people. I'm also a social worker. So, helping others and that compassion fatigue, going through, personal, relationships. So we get to a point mentally where we're like, what do we need to be able to detach and reconnect and find and center ourselves? And so I even remember my summer nights in the city, like I was going out dancing a lot, but just feeling that freedom of just like releasing all of like the pent up tension in your body, because that's where you hold everything all in your body. So I love your platform and just how it resonates just even with my own personal experiences. And dancing is just a form of another expression that I feel like is very underrated.
It is.
Absolutely. 100% underrated. And you just mentioned that going out to clubs and partying with your friends, you feel the freedom. But when I say dance for mental health, that is great. But when you put that intention behind it of why you're dancing and what you want to feel, I mean, it changes everything. And dancing is something that's accessible and available to anybody, anywhere, anytime. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to. I mean, it's great to do it in a community, and we could talk a little bit about that. But at the same time, just doing it alone, like that's just powerful.
Exactly. And are you both telling me I need to just pack up and just move for a little bit and then just come back?
No,
don't do that.
Absolutely not. I tell people you can get the same transformation exactly where you are.
Exactly. And I'm happy you said that. Like, it's the intention behind it, because something for me, I started dancing too again. And last year, in celebrating my mother's, she passed away a few years ago. And I dedicated, like one day I just got up and I just did one of the Afrobeat and I danced and I posted online, but I dedicated to my mother. And I saw like how some people were like reacting to it, because sometimes dancing is like, I'm not doing it for people, I'm doing it for me. Like that liberation, that freedom, because it makes me feel good that I'm moving my body. Yeah, I can definitely like see what you mean by that, doing it alone and then bringing it with the community and connecting with them.
Contagious when someone see you, especially when I post my videos, and we're like, "Oh, you make me want to dance." So
yes,
I encourage you guys to continue. If you're dancing and you feel comfortable, share it. You might literally change someone's day and how they're feeling, because you are encouraging them to move as well.
Yeah, and I like the idea of setting the intentions behind it. And one of the things that I started doing, because my dad passed away last year and my sister passed away 11 years ago. We grew up on music. We grew up on compa, like every Sunday we woke up to it. And so what I started doing like on their anniversaries was I would play, like for my sister, she loved Beyonce. She was a Beyonce fan. I made sure to go to one of her concerts. And I was like, sis, this is for you. We're going to live our lives. And so I incorporated music on those anniversaries where I would play it in the house or in the car, and I would just dance. And even like with my dad on his anniversary, like what helps me is playing his favorite songs in the house and just dancing away in the living room. And it brings a sense of peace and calm, but also I feel like I'm connected with them still and honoring them.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And this is something I believe, I haven't done the research behind it, but our ancestors, it's been around for forever. Our ancestors use dance and movement as a form of healing, a form of connecting with each other. Even now with like the certain dances that we do, like I'm from the French Caribbean, so I know all about compa and zouk and all that. So even just in our current like culture and just dance, just honoring the past, that's healing for us.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So as you talk about community, like how did you started integrating that into community? Because, going back to our century, that's how they were able to connect with each other, is dancing, to heal to whatever trauma experiences that they were going through. That was their way of, like, I guess, a sense of freedom for them. And so like it's also about community and the family, bringing people together. So how did that become integrated to like sharing it with the community to help them?
So like movement access of this part of our brain that helps us connect with each other, because social connection is part of a hierarchy of needs, right? We need social connection. It's part of our health. So when we do it together, we actually build trust in one another. We treat, and also when we move and we dance and we feel better, we treat everyone around us better, right? We are happy around each other. So I incorporated that into my community. In community, I think it's important because we need that, especially during this time of the pandemic. We have technology, so we are connected, but disconnected in so many ways, and emotionally, and like just building strong, deep, meaningful relationships. So I think and then it's not only for dancing, just activity, any physical activity that you could do together with people helps build that bond. I was listening or read something that if you're walking with someone, your connection is deeper because you're more likely to open up and tell someone all your business while you're actually moving together versus just being stagnant.
I love that. And it makes me think also to just with everything that's been going on in the world, with the police brutality and the racism and this summer was very heavy for a lot of Black and brown people. And what I also seeing was not only people were protesting, but people were like dancing. Like I've seen videos where people were were on their rollerblades and just rollerblading to music and just being free, or having like little dance parties like on the block. And I'm just like, wow, like that's their way of healing, of coping. And it continues to align back to our ancestors and our roots and foundation and where we came from, where, even back to slavery, we used hymns and songs to praise and worship and be able to get us through those times. And now it's like happening all over again, but through dance. And that's just how we naturally heal.
Yes. Support is everything, right? We can overcome so much when we have that support.
Yes.
And that's another thing that brings us together as a community, is the music and dance.
You mentioned like earlier that when you packed up and moved to Peru, and that's when you find dancing. So for traveling, how did that impact your mental health, like in any way? And for you, why you end up like, I'm going to this thing, I'm just gonna get up and move to Peru?
Absolutely, 1,000%. Like dance is just one part of what helped me, but just being alone, like, and I love, and no disrespect to Girls Trip, but I love traveling alone because that's the time I actually spend with myself. Even with my husband now, like if I travel with him, like it's still different. I get to know about myself and open up myself to new things, to meet new people. When you're already with someone that it's harder to build connection with other people. Traveling and I love nature. I love being outdoors. it's my peace, it's my sanity, it's what makes me
Mhm.
happy. So yeah, not only I moved to Peru, but while I was there, I traveled a lot, like within that area, and it was so helpful, and I miss it because COVID is still
I'm
a
over
thing.
this too. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And
I
I
just
think
want a beach. I'm a water person. I love water. There's just something
Yeah.
about water that I can be in it all day. So it's like I'm so ready to just be on an island and be at the beach and just literally just disconnect and relax.
Yes. Just the thought of that is relaxing, right?
Yeah.
I know exactly. It's funny you said that because when I took my first solo trip, because I went to Bali and India and Dubai, and usually when I travel, I used to travel with someone else, and I never used to like really experience the nightlife. And just be like you said, being on your own, you start to learn things about you, and you start to be like, okay, I know I'm going through some stuff, so what can I do to help me get out of it? So I decided, I'm like, I'm gonna check out the night scene because I'm just gonna like put myself in an environment where I can enjoy myself, do things. And I was dancing, and it, like you said, it feels good to like move, and it feels really good. And I feel like that's when like my spiritual journey was starting for me.
Mm.
Good.
I felt that connection. So is there a connection between like your spiritual journey and like your dancing for mental health?
Oh, absolutely, 1,000%. Because there's nothing better than a good praise and worship
Oh,
music.
yes.
Dance too. But when I said I moved to Peru, a lot of times in the beginning, I thought I was like, yeah, I ran away, but something right now I could see it as God called me there,
Mhm.
because that's the time I was able to be alone with him. And even with my meditation practice, it's between people practice meditation in different ways,
Yes.
but movement and dance is a form of meditation. Meditation is just practicing your self-awareness. And whenever I meditate, God is always in the center of it, right? I always put him in the center of my meditation. So there's a huge connection between my spirituality and my connection with dancing.
Wow, that's interesting how you said that. Like there's different form of meditation, because a lot of people when they're meditating, they're thinking like it's just sitting in the somewhere in a corner, maybe create like a little space, and then you're just like with your thoughts. But meditation can come in many different forms. It could be like cooking, it could be writing, it could be gardening. And so and that's why our podcast is like looking at what are different things are we doing, but it still connects to our mental health, because what it's doing is whatever we're doing is taking our mind and shifting it to something else. Because whatever troubles you had, if you start cooking, you're focusing on the cooking and you're pouring love into it because you want it to smell good. So dancing is the same thing. So it helps with that transformation, that spiritual journey that you're talking about. I appreciate how you said that, like God was calling you. And I think that's where we are, especially with the pandemic. I think we're being called into like being more self-aware with ourselves, and then pulling out those things that's been inside of us that we probably maybe was afraid, like it's okay if you don't know how to dance.
Our body is created to move. Even if you do a 2-step side by side, as long as your heart rate is increased,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And even, because of the pandemic, and a lot of people are afraid to like, well, I don't want to do therapy. There's that stigma behind therapy, but this is also showing that this is another form of healing, and that you don't have to go in person to see a therapist or do virtual therapy. Just put on an iPod or Alexa and just start dancing and start moving. And that's how you begin your own healing journey, and just start let loose or the tensions from the day.
Yes, you just said Alexa, and I looked over and make sure. Oh wait,
I didn't wake her up.
I was like, wait, and I just did the same thing. So yes, because of the pandemic, why a lot of people struggle is because a lot of people never really spend time with themselves. And now that you mention it, the reason why I felt I thrived during the pandemic is because wasn't my first experience of being still. And I recently went through it in 2015. So it wasn't something new to me. And I like to tell everyone, mental health is for all of us. right?
Yes.
We see one bad like a challenge or something, challenges or something that come our way, the bad situation come our way to, tip us over that point, right? So once we practice to maintain a good mental health, when things come up like the pandemic, it wasn't easy. I'm not saying it was easy, but you're able to thrive and cope better because you know yourself and you spend time with yourself and you learn how to navigate throughout difficult times.
And with all of that, what comes to mind is peace of mind. And how do you attain it? So what's your definition of peace of mind and how do you think people can achieve that?
Peace of mind is just, for me, I would say just being centered and no matter what, standing ground, staying true to who you are. And that is really our power because there's a lot of things that's going on in the world. There's different circumstances. But if you know how to, remember who I am, remember whose I am, should say that, and just know that everything is going to be okay. So peace of mind is just being calm in yourself, in your mind, and not let it just go wild. Because if we allow it to, it's like a kid in the playground, our mind will just go all over the place.
Yes.
We all definitely need some peace of mind. I know I need, even with like the world opening back up a little bit, right? It can seem like we need to just hurry up and go back to what's called the normal, but that doesn't mean like you can't still focus on yourself and like, focusing on your mental health. And mental health is for everyone. And it's important that we continue to be more self-aware and be still, find those moments and incorporating those time because it can get very busy once the world open back up. And what does that look like?
So it's going to be new normal. People are going to struggle to get back to what was normal for them. And it probably will never be the same, or normal is going to look totally different. So
yeah, so tell me a little bit more about your Sign of Strength LLC. Like you created that to bring the community together to dance. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So Sign of Strength was a little bit different. It was first I started off with a mental health shop with selling t-shirts and things that promotes mental health awareness. Okay. And then, because literally, might sound crazy, but no, it's not. So when I came back from Peru, I'm practicing. I'm a chiropractor. I'm practicing, but I felt a void. I still felt a little bit unfulfilled, honestly. And I prayed about it, and God said, focus on mental health. That was 2018. So it's like, okay, I'll just create some t-shirts because this is not my thing. This is not what I actually studied. And so I did it for about a year, and then I felt it in my spirit again. Okay, this is cute, but you need to go deeper, right? you need to go deeper. So that's when I started incorporating the dance part and talking about how, because that's how he helped me through my darkest days, right? That's how he helped me when I was down. So I believe that whatever we go through, we use that to help other people. So that's how it all came together to doing Dance for Mental Health and creating a community of women just to help them really understand who they are and stop suffering in silence. Because that's something that I did for many, many years. Stop suffering in silence, get the help that you need, get therapy. I believe everybody at least need to try it first. If it's not your thing, sure, but everyone needs to try therapy. And so that's how it started. And then I'm doing the classes online, and I do coaching as well.
Do you ever come across the people that you've worked with who are just struggling? They're like, I don't even know where to start with the dancing. Like my body just can't move. I can hear the music, but it just doesn't move. How do you coach them through that with those barriers?
So I always said, because I get a lot of people like, oh, I wish I could dance like you. I was like, I do nothing special. And like I said earlier, like our body is created to move. If you just put one foot in front of the other, because we say it all the time, right? If you're going through a hard time, take one step at a time. Same for dancing, same for moving, because literally when we move, and it's not only for dancing, it's for any physical activity. When we move, we're telling our brain, we're telling ourselves, our brain is telling us like, you know what, you could do this. Keep going. That motivates you to do things, to get things done. So just literally just taking one step, like physically taking one step. And use music that moves you. What I like might not be what you like.
Mhm.
Everyone has a preference. Use something that literally ignites you from the inside out and just go with the flow. It could just be this. Side by side, clap, just do it. Don't follow when we have dance class. You don't even have to follow my dance move. As long as you know you're doing it and do whatever feels good for you. Because at the end of the day, dancing is an expression of self. I tried to go to those choreographed dance classes and it was just not for me.
Me too. I can't do it.
The 8 count is not for me. It's absolutely not for me. So
it's funny. It's funny you said that because I read a post the other day and it says like, if you had to have your childhood dream job, what would it be? And the first thing that popped up in my head was like, I wanted to be a dancer when I was younger. And I remember I used to ask my mom, like, can you put me in dance class? I wanted to take like hip hop. I wanted to do jazz. I wanted to do all these dance classes. And I remember I used to watch my cousin, they go on a dance and I remember that's what I wanted to do. And I was like, if I were to go back to my dream job, I wanted to be a dancer. And that's what like mine would be. And then I love to move. And like you said, with compa and zouk, when you put those songs on, like those Caribbean music on, it makes you want to move. And you feel good because you're connecting with yourself or anybody.
Exactly. It's so sad because growing up, dancing was not even an option. At least you had an idea. You ask your parents, but for me, it was just education. Like we look down on dancing, like dancing. I could do it. I could do this anyways.
It doesn't pay the bill.
It's not a big deal. So just looking back, like, man, I really went through all the schooling just to come back to do what I really loved. Isn't life funny?
Exactly. It's like, you don't know, like you said earlier, like God was calling you, like Peru was like, God was calling you to help you find yourself back there. And then like you're helping individuals to find their way that way. It's like, listen to the calling or even like your intuition, because something is, you feel the energy, you feel the shift. So it's okay to experience it and see what's coming out of it. It could be anything. And like, don't be afraid to embrace it. And also what you said earlier was silence. Like we become so silent with ourselves that we don't experience the joy. And we need to find a way to release that. And if it's dance is the way. So for you, because I was going to say, sometimes we're afraid of like to speak up. That's just a fact. And we hold our emotions so much in our body, like our body just remembers, like it keeps the memory of those emotions. How can like anyone use their body to use their body as the voice?
Well, use your body as a voice is movement, right? As a chiropractor, I see patients come to me because of neck and back pain, the headaches, the physical pain. Even in school, they taught us about treating patients with the physical symptoms and getting to the root of that. And it wasn't until I actually got in practice, like I'm seeing that this is not physical, this is emotional. So we could all pay attention to our body, right? If you have physical pain, where do you feel it? And when do you feel it the most? What is the emotion that you're having? What is the thought you're having when you're feeling the tension in your neck, when you're feeling the headache, when you're feeling the back pain? What is the thought that is causing that? And that's the way that you could really use your body to really help your mental health, help your mental wellness and what you are experiencing. You could identify what you're experiencing through paying attention to your physical body.
Wow. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Physical symptom looks different. And, I read the book, The Body Keeps a Score, and our body, like with all these memories that store in our body, if we don't pay attention to our feelings, then we won't know which area we need to focus on. And I think, like, let's say, even if it's just like a gentle, like, rub over here, or you're moving the shoulder, even if it's like, I'm not dancing, but like it's just about moving. So for you, it's just like, let's move. How do you want to move? How do you want to sway? What is it that you want to get out of it? And so that you can feel good. And it helps in that way. So I love like how you're putting that in and seeing like, okay, what you're doing and how it still connect with you, bringing awareness to the mental health, and then help encouraging and anyone to just step out of their comfort zone and just allow themselves to experience that joy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Movement is also enhances the brain to experience more joy and pleasure. Mm-hmm. So that is. And then you have the music on top of that. Even with dancing, we focus on breathing as well. So all those things put together is just ignites your joy.
Yeah. And I also think about too, not only are you're dancing and you're releasing, but then you sort of come to learn more about yourself, and your true authentic self comes more to the forefront. And so the best version of yourself becomes to life. And so I wonder, throughout your journey, what does the best version of yourself look like living abroad versus now?
Well, before I was very, within my family, I'm outspoken, but I was very shy. I was very reserved. I had a mask, I was smiling, but, I people pleased. So once I really started to dance, when I really started dancing, even from last year, just posting more about just me dancing, like I feel a sense of like freedom. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like really true to myself, because it was all, I wouldn't say it's all fake, it's like, social media, for example, it was a facade to make people think of you a different way. But I'm so true to myself now. I don't even care what other people think about me. And that's one thing I struggled with before. What are people gonna think? I try to act a certain way to please other people, but now I'm just like, whatever, this is it. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy that you mentioned it, because I am much happier this way.
Yes, I love that. You become like more self-aware. It's empowering. You're feeling confident, and that's your sense of peace also, where you can just be your true authentic self. And I just hope, more people will get to that point and be able to embrace that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a sense of, what I'm hearing is a sense is loving yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like not caring what other people think, and saying like, no, this is my way of loving myself. And if this is how it's coming out, and this is how I can show it, this is how I'm going to show it. And then also allowing others to see that, like, it's just be who you are. Just be yourself. Just love yourself. This is your self-love. And when you love, the more you love yourself, the more confident you become. And it's really like, that's the healing part of it.
Yes. Oh my God, you put that so perfectly. That's yes, exactly. That's what it is. Self-love.
Because that's what I kept hearing every time the whole conversation. I'm like, self-love, because we tend to quiet ourselves because we're afraid of what other people are gonna think, and we want to please others. We want to look a certain way, but at the end of the day, like when you're sitting like by yourself, you're sitting with those emotions, and you're wondering like, why do I feel the way I feel? Because you're focusing so much on like what's happening on the outside versus like, what do I need to pour more in the inside? And that's what I started doing myself, is like that transition, that switching. And when I took my trip, was like, I need to figure out another way to love myself, because I'm like, I must have not been loving myself truly the way I was supposed to, because I'm going through all these things and I don't know how to move forward. And I think when I make that decision to love myself differently, to look at things differently and be open, I found it was like a new experience. It's like the new me was birthed into that.
That is a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
I forgot that part. But that is really what my journey was about, self-love. I really did not love myself throughout up until, in Peru. That's when I really man, the things I was saying about myself, the way I was treating myself, the way I was treating my body, the way I was letting other men disrespect me.
Ooh, yes.
That was the entire journey, learning self-love. And it's so crazy that within that journey, that physical journey of being in Peru, I've met the love of my life, and I looked at love totally different because I was in that space of trying to, learning myself and loving myself and trusting myself.
Yes, that's the most important thing, is to be able to trust yourself. Because when you're able to trust yourself, then you're not as guarded, and you can see with visible eyes, who is meant to be for you, like your partner, and what they're giving you, and being able to trust that however they're showing up for you and they're saying to you is authentic. And so how has your husband impacted or even influenced just your journey as far as continuing to dance? And does he do it with you?
I married a Nigerian who can't dance. Don't tell him that.
Really?
What?
So I'm imagining you guys are waking up and you're like, let's take the 2 steps.
He danced in his own way. I just married someone who loves me for me.
Yes.
Like, I could be crazy, I could be wild, I could be down one moment. He supports me, he encourages me. And the good part is I could dance whenever. We could be doing whatever, and I could just break out dancing, and he's just like, yeah, all right, okay. He lets me be me. He doesn't try to control me. He lets me be me. And it was beautiful when you find love, and the person loves you while you're loving yourself at the same time. But a lot of times I will substitute my self-love to loving someone else, but that wasn't love. That was people pleasing. So he's amazing. He's super supportive and just cheers me on along the way. It hasn't been always easy, but it's a beautiful journey.
When I was on your platform, I was noticing, like, as you talk about relationship and also like your dancing and your traveling, your husband, your relationship, it was long distance as well too, right?
Oh, yes.
So how did it work? Like, how did you guys make the long distance relationship work? And like in the process of you loving yourself and you finding this new adventure and bringing all that together?
First of all, it was communication. First of all, we had to be on the same we had to be on the same page, and communication. And I guess that's a huge part of what I said. I had someone to love, but I was loving myself at the same time. I think the long distance allowed me to do that, to really just focus on me and focus on my happiness. But I know I had someone 5,000 miles away who supported me. And if I needed someone to talk to, I could pick up the phone and talk to him. But my main focus was me first. I spent my entire life of putting other people's happiness before my own, but this was my time to really focus on me. And I noticed that when I was happier with myself, I treated him better. And that was a light switch for me. Okay, so I could love myself more, and then I could be a better girlfriend at the time to use. Like, it's a no-brainer. Put myself first. Me first. I'll be better to you when I put me first.
Yeah, exactly. It's like finding your voice, putting yourself first, self-love. It all comes down to self-love, everything that you're doing.
Dancing is self-love.
Yeah, I love that. Dancing is.
Should we put some music? Should we put some music on right now? Do a little quick dance, like moving.
Sure would.
I love it.
I love it.
Do you have a favorite song that you like to play?
I love all them Caribbeans. I like soca. I like. Give me a compa music, cause a compa song.
Ooh.
Carry me. Or
yes.
Oh, she said carry me. Let's go.
Go ahead.
I'm from the French Caribbean.
We're about to have a dance party.
We might have to meet up in New York for a Caribbean dance.
Yes. I gotta take one of your classes.
Yes. It is also Haitian awareness. No, Haitian Heritage Month.
Yes.
Yeah, and also it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. Look at that.
Yes.
Right alignment. Yes. Look at it, right on time.
Right on time. Okay, give me a carry me song. Like, I don't know the names. I know songs. I love songs. I love music, but since I don't know names.
Just once you put the name, any of them goes.
Any of them.
Any of them. There we go. Oh, we need to get together. This is awesome. This was nice. God, I love it.
I can't find you guys. Okay, my husband just tried to call and
It's fine.
Right? Let me pause it. Because I'll be here.
I love the energy. I love it. This
I
is
love
awesome.
it.
And this is what it looks like, guys. Like, dancing is just putting any songs on and you're just moving the body. And I love the fact that like you're into compa, because that's like the number one. I love compa. That's number one for me.
Yes.
It helps you to smile, just how we're laughing and smiling. That also helps you feel good. Because listen, we don't always smile and laugh when we go to the gym and we work out. You always smile when you dance. So
yes, you know what, Dr. Rennes, I loved that. I just set the mood for the entire day. So I am thankful for you joining us and just talking about dancing for mental health and what it means and how it just provides peace of mind and self-love and just showing up as your true authentic self. And it's just a different form of taking care of yourself and healing. So please let our audience know where they can find you in your classes.
Awesome. So you guys can find me on Instagram at dr.rennes on Instagram, and you'll find all my information on there.
Okay. So we usually wrap up with like a wild card question. So we're just gonna ask you to pick like a number from 1 to 10.
Okay, 3 is my favorite number.
Ooh. What is your favorite book and why?
All right. So I have so many. I have to pick one.
How many do you want to pick?
So just because I love my coach, she just released her recent book. Is called Redefining Wealth for Yourself. Her name is Patrice Washington, and it teaches us how to focus on, I think it's 5 pillars in our life. One is mentally, emotionally fit, our relationships, our money, our space, and community, I believe. I'm probably messing it up, but it's called Redefining Wealth for Yourself. And it really changed for us to look at, especially in our community, to look at wealth more than just money. There's so much, wealth is so much deeper than that. So it really
that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
That sounds like the perfect book for me. I'm definitely gonna need to look into that.
Yes. I'll send you the information. It's an amazing book. Not because I love
you.
it, but it's
Yes. Well, thank you, Dr. Rennes, for joining us. This was fun, and I enjoyed having this conversation with you. So thank you for our listeners for listening. And if anything resonated with you guys today and with this episode, leave us a comment. If you'd like to be a guest, please, suggest us a topic. If whatever you want to talk about, just email us at millennialbabespodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, guys.